With beginnings planted in progressive education, charter schools were part of the small school movement. Educators saw charters as lab schools where best education practices could be implemented without bureaucracy. Today, however, those progressive roots have been replaced by a shift to the conservative side of things and the privatization of public education. No Child Left Behind heralded a shift from a focus on access and equity to testing, charters, and privatization. The result has been a slow erosion of the Brown versus Board of Education. Proponents of charter schools consider themselves advocates of school choice and often cite that since we are a capitalist country, free market education is an appropriate solution. However, this viewpoint is inherently flawed as it is based on competition, but schools are not factories, and unlike an assembly line, children learn in different ways. Obviously, some charter schools do right by their students, but given all the obstacles and pitfalls, they are, as the Schott Foundation points out, not a systematic solution to providing an opportunity to learn for all students. Charter schools are public schools run by private, nonprofit, or for-profit organizations, administered by privately selected board of directors, not elected officials. CEOs can make profits, like Jeffrey Canada, who is in charge of Harlem Children's Zone, which has a budget of $200 million, $400,000 of which is for his salary. Each charter school sets up its own admission criteria and bylaws, and, as confirmed by the National Education Policy Center, some charters choose not to hire reading coaches, English learner teachers, or special needs providers. They might only print their promotional brochure in English or advertise in a way that makes struggling students feel unwelcome. In the end, charters have many ways to influence student enrollment and say, this might not be the school for you. Getting into a charter isn't easy. You need to have the time, money, and resources to enroll. And with some, there can be lengthy application forms, lotteries, minimum GPA requirements, mandatory school visits, and parent volunteer commitments. Charter schools do not have to offer transportation or provide free or reduced lunch, so economically challenged families who are able to get their child a spot may not even be able to send them. Charter schools also set their own guidelines for suspension and expulsion and can do so for minor infractions. Many weed out kids rather than teach everyone, and once students are gone, they can choose not to fill their empty seats, which can raise standardized test scores. Students that are pushed out at schools that close, or those that simply change their mind, then head to their neighborhood school. That is, if it hasn't been replaced by a charter that is no longer accepting applications. That neighborhood school is now under-resourced as a result of public funds being diverted to the charters in the area. Funds that were given to the now defunct schools are lost, and according to the National Center for Educational Statistics, in 2015, 308 charter schools closed. Let's bring it home. Texas Education Association data reveals that charter schools do not accept all students, and they may exclude any student with discipline problems from enrollment. Charter schools spend twice as much as public schools on office administration. Charter school dropout rates are 3 times higher than traditional public schools. Charter schools enroll 25% fewer students with special needs. Traditional public schools have higher average scores on both the ACT and the SAT, and their 4-year graduation rates are 28 points higher than charter schools. Traditional public schools also outperform charters on state STAR tests for all subjects in the last 4 out of 4 years. There are not two pots of money. Money given to charter schools has to come from somewhere, and that means it comes from funds that would have been given to traditional public schools. In Texas, in the school year 2005-2006, that amounted to nearly $417 million. Last year, in 2017-2018, it topped $2.5 billion. The right to a free and public education for all children is something every one of our 50 states guarantees. Rather than marketplace ideology, which encourages islands of consumer privilege within a sea of inequity, we should be looking for ways to improve and support our public schools, not forsake them. Our public schools are one of our most democratic institutions and are essential for both access and equity, unlike the charter school movement, which subscribes to a philosophy of privatization with limited accountability and transparency. Schools are not factories, children are not consumers, and public education dollars are meant for learning, not earning.